There's some video footage from our haunted cemetery tour, and it is definitely haunted. Once it gets dark, as you guys will see, there's plenty of paranormal activity going on. Hope you enjoy. I'll be commentating throughout this. Got some of the things our tour guide I didn't get on video.
They put a huge red nose up on the elk for everyone to see. It's always entertaining. This cemetery here, Greenwood is what it's called, is open during the day to drive through. You know, if you're very, really interested in cemeteries, you'd come up and drive through it. It is the largest cemetery that we have.
One cool thing about this cemetery here, you actually have to be a member, and this tour guide, one of their employees is actually a member of the cemetery and has a plot here. So that's the only reason we were grant access. This isn't one you can just go walk up to like the one across the street.
15. All right, folks. So welcome to Oddfellows Rest. The International Order of Oddfellows is a charitable fraternal organization. Say, would you like to put a new closure tablet up for your family? And someone did. They came up with the money to put a new one up. And that's what they're kind of doing. Yes, sir.
When you say 4 to 5, is that inside caskets or just bodies?
Just bodies. And
So this is the death gate. How seriously they take spirits down there is only the dead are brought in through that particular gate. These particular graves reach 350 degrees. So once a family member is buried in them, they do not open it for a full lunar year, so the body decomposes. And behind that plaque is a wall, and they actually bust that. That's all brick and mortar. And what they do is after a year that body's been decomposed, they'll actually put it in a bag, lower it down, throw the other body in a casket. That particular casket, I believe he said, held about 30 people in it. And there's some over here that hold over 100. This is the only tree in the cemetery. They don't like trees in the cemeteries. It gives shade, and the body does not decompose as fast as it should. Again, these aren't traditional graves, so they can't bury, in the ground. The water level is, very low. That's why we see a lot of graves. They're elevated 2 or 3 foot, so you can dig down, 3 foot, 4 foot, whatever it is, before you hit the water. But a lot of them are completely above ground.
this circular tomb, he's the only one interred here. And he was the creator of the cemetery. That symbolism of the pyramid and the all-seeing eye has been around forever and ever. Templars used it. It's a very symbolic thing, and he apparently was really big on it. He was the very first Grand Master here in Louisiana. Our most important holiday is here.
A lot of plaques and doors are missing from these tombs here. During the Depression, they were scrapping them. And a lot of these places, this one right here came from Philly. Used to be able to order this out of a catalog. I found that pretty interesting. That the outside survived, but the gate doesn't. So you can see all different tombs in there. And this one has a couple hundred people in it. You can see all the names on it. Another thing to keep in mind, these walls are filled with people, as you can see. Some of them are missing the plaques on them. Said over the years they need maintained. People move on, this and that. Pretty interesting. There's only 3 open spots left in that cemetery. And one of the tour guides, one of the owners, actually has a place reserved. This is the death gate from the outside. I showed you the inside earlier. Only the dead go in through there.
48 was Potter's Field here for Charity Hospital. But they saw many. 1853 was the worst year. In 1853, over 10,000 people died in 1 month. By the end of that summer, 15,000 people died. 1826 was terrible, 1833 was terrible, and there were, every year it kept coming back. So yellow fever is transmitted by mosquitoes. They didn't know that. You know, swamps on 3 sides of us here. Yellow fever, it is horrific. Fever, 104, 105 degrees for 4 to 5 days, if you live that long. Jaundice, attacks your liver, yellowing of the eyes, yellowing of the skin. And then the big thing is shallow respiration. Okay? So, back then, it was hard to tell if you were dead or just mostly dead, because the chief piece of scientific equipment that we had was a mirror. We put a mirror under your mouth and nose. If it fogged up, you were alive. Okay? Now, interestingly enough, 10% of the people that get yellow fever can survive it. Not very well, but they do survive. So here's the scenario. In 1853, it was so bad that year when we lost 10,000 people in a year.
Alright guys, from this point on is where I start getting really weird, creepy, ghost pictures. You guys waited long enough, just nothing happened, until it got dark, and I did this in order. So, thanks for watching. Things get really weird. So this is the mass grave of the tens of thousands of people that died of yellow fever. See how it's yellow? This is just the start here. These are just some burst pictures I did in night vision. Let me know if you guys see anything. Got rid of a lot of the pictures because there was nothing in there. So let me know when you guys see it. Got some more creepy ones coming up too. I definitely recommend doing a cemetery tour if you're in New Orleans. A lot of fun. These are the mass graves of the Hurricane Katrina victims. As you'll see here. This is where things get creepy, right here. Did y'all catch that? Got some more obvious ones coming up. See how everything in the background is not clear except for me, and how my wife is disappearing during this ghost tour. They've said that people have taken pictures in front of certain buildings, like a house, that go to a gate later, and some of the people, or none of them, have shown up knowing that they were in the picture. Look at these shadows, guys. See all those people standing behind me? That other guy that you saw in there, me and him were the only ones left when I took that picture. My wife actually called me. Everybody was on tour bus except for me and that guy, and we were getting yelled at to come back to the bus. Between that yellow cloud picture, my wife disappearing, and then all those shadows behind me, I swear there was no one else there but that guy and that girl, his daughter, off in the distance. We were the last ones on the bus. It was us three, and you clearly see that gentleman and his daughter in front of me, and you can see all those shadows behind me. They are not trees. If you look in the pictures, it's a wide open area. Those are spirits. So I turned 90 degrees where I was. You can see how far back them trees are. I don't know what that is, the far left of that guy's daughter. But yeah, those trees were not the shadows. I'm telling you, you just get goosebumps all over by the mass graves. Me, that gentleman, and his daughter were the only ones there. The last ones on the bus. And you can tell it was not her making those, all those shadows. You guys may recognize this house from American Horror Story. This is the house that the Covenant witches lived in. Pretty cool. They said it is haunted, but by a friendly ghost. There's a slave that used to clean there. She was treated well, as well as you can treat a slave. And they actually paid her when slavery was abolished. It's a cool little thing. It's so hard to go on a ghost tour or a cemetery tour without the history. I mean, there's just so much history in this town. This is the Lalaurie mansion that you saw in my other video. This is what our tour guide is talking about.
On it. They bring out all these people, and the townspeople are enraged. All of a sudden, the gates open, a horse-drawn carriage comes out of the carriageway, turns, goes down the street to a ship. 2 people get on board and they sail. The Lalauries are never held accountable for this. Gotta go quick here now. They go to work. The house eventually goes into foreclosure and is sold. It becomes a girls' school. When the girls are in there, they stay on the 2nd floor. They come downstairs with big scratch marks all over their arms and legs. And they claim that it's a mean lady doing it upstairs. The school eventually closes. Becomes a furniture store. All the furniture every day is covered with an ugly brown film in there. Somebody buys it and rehabs the house. When they do, they put a 3rd story on, and in doing so, when they lift up the floorboards, they find the enslaved bodies of several African Americans that were buried between the ceiling and the floor alive. There's all scratch marks on the bottom of the boards. How many of you have seen American Horror Story, The Coven?
Yep.
This is Miss Robichaud's house for extraordinary girls that was used as a film. He was a cotton kingpin. Okay? Now, it's funny because we didn't grow any cotton within over 150 miles of here. Okay, we grew rice and sugar cane. But cotton was king here. All cotton came through New Orleans, and it was just shipped all over the world. If you walk down to where the city of New Orleans riverboat is, southern antebellum architecture, again, hardly ever mixed. It has 28 bedrooms. bedrooms. And it's over 22,000 square feet. It takes up over 2/3 of the block. Okay? And here's the thing I find the most impressive, is that it has 3 ballrooms in it. Okay, so perhaps Mr. Buckner could have the boys over for poker parties on the same night his wife was having a late afternoon tea party, as well as his daughter is having some kind of party also. Now, the Buckners had an enslaved woman that worked for them. Her name was Josephine. She had been, a housekeeping slave early on, but when they bought this house, she became the head of housekeeping because it took more than one person to take care of a house that size. Josephine was very well known for keeping an extraordinary clean house and for using fresh lemons for cleaning. She used the acidity of lemons to cut through things. After the Civil War, she became a paid employee, but stayed on with the family because she loved them so much, and she ended up dying in service there. It's often said that you could be in the house and you will hear the sounds of sweeping when there's no one there. Or you'll come around the corner in the house and there'll be the overwhelming smell of fresh lemons when no one's been there using them at all. It also appears that she's fascinated with electricity, as I will tell you shortly. The Buckners owned the home from 1856 to 1923 when they sold it to the Soleil School of Business. It's an all African-American business school. They taught simple business skills like shorthand and typing, as well as advanced skills. They turned out CPAs as well in business accounting. It ran like that until 1983 when private owners took it over. Spent some money, fixed it up, turned it back into the beautiful glory that it had. Since then, it gets used for movie shoots often. It's available for rent, by the way, for $30,000 a day. So if any of you go home and buy that winning lottery ticket and decide you'd like to come back to New Orleans, to go to work, rent the Buckner Mansion, have a big party for all your friends, please remember, my name is Scott. This is Aaron. And the two of us, we'd like to be at your party for sure. We work for Ghost Adventures, and we'd certainly like to come to your party. We can regale stories all night long if that's what need be, but we'd certainly love to see the inside of the house as well. Okay. And argue, standing on the street corner for like 30 minutes. She refuses to go in the house. She doesn't care. There is no way. She is not